And it's interesting how the business has changed. You mentioned you started with the Beatles, which were the biggest of them all. How does that differ then in the old days to today in managing someone?
Well, I think that with Simon, Simon's a very good example. I mean, he's huge in America, known worldwide because obviously his shows are hits worldwide. Pop Idol and then X Factor, American Idol, America's Got Talent, Britain's Got Talent. Just about everything he's touched in the last 7-8 years has turned to not just gold but platinum. The difference is that the biggest part of the work I do with Simon is protection rather than promotion. For every 100 interview requests, we maybe do one. But there's all kinds of, Simon's meant to have done this, Simon's meant to have done that, and we're stopping these things because one, they're untrue, two, they would be damaging. So that Simon in many ways is a good example of the huge change that I've experienced, in the last 40 years, but particularly in the last 10, 20 years. The biggest part of what we're doing with major stars, whether they're people like Simon Cowell, or they're a bank or a private jet company, or any of the wide variety of clients we look after in entertainment and business, is protection. With the Lawn Tennis Association, the Tennis Foundation, it's about making people realise, tennis is for everybody. It's one of the few games that men and women can play together. It's a very social game, it's great for your health. Also, there's lots of areas around the country where they've had all kinds of problems with youngsters, where tennis courts have been turned into the kind of centre for activity for them, and it's been very beneficial to the community. So there's a wide range of areas that we're involved in, and I suppose that's why it's always so interesting.
And it is manipulation in a way, isn't it? Because you've got a message you want to get out there, and your job is to try and get the media to follow that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game of chess. In its simplest form, the media want to have as much control over the media as possible. Stars, businesses, everybody wants to have as much control as possible, and we're the means of hopefully achieving that wherever we can. But the fact is that, of course, you're in competition, you're working together with a newspaper today, but tomorrow you're trying to stop something that they desperately want to come out with. So it's ever changing, the role, and it's never boring.
Is it almost then a barter system? If I come to you and I'm the editor of a newspaper, I've got something juicy, you don't want it to go in, you have to offer me something better to keep it out?
Well, that's true, that's a small part of it. But of course, the fact of the matter is that anticipation is the best form of protection. If I know a client, whether he's the chairman of a big company, a building company, or property company, or a star, is up to something which is going to cause problems for him in terms of the media, I will do everything I can to make sure that no one ever finds out about it. And I've got clients I've been working with for 20, 30 years that we've done that with. And many managers that come to me and say, Max, you know what you did with such and such 10 years ago? Well, he's coming in, she's coming in, they're going to be in the country filming for 3 months. Will you look after them and make sure that their excesses don't get publicised? So again, there's a lot more to it than bartering, but obviously anticipation is a very important part of what we do.
We heard your mobile ringing there. That could be anybody. Are you always surprised who can ring you next? When you see one of those anonymous numbers, it literally could be anybody in the world, could it?
Yes. I mean, it goes from the sublime to the ridiculous, but literally people do phone me, and people phone me and say, look, Max, you've never met me before, but if you can't help me, my business is going to be destroyed, or my marriage, or my life, or whatever. Because I suppose of people do know you, and they maybe know from a friend what you've done for them or what you've done for somebody else. So again, you do get the most amazing phone calls from all over the world and from all kinds of interesting people in all kinds of amazing situations.